Okay, good evening. A meeting of the Committee of Infrastructure is being held Wednesday, September 24th, 2025, at 7 p.m. in the Automatic Chamber and duly noted in two places, including the city's website, in accordance with the requirements of RSA 91-A, semicolon 2, Roman numeral 2. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Absolutely. Alderman Thibodeau?
Here.
Alderman Sullivan? Alderman Klee is here. Alderman Dowd?
Present.
And Chairman Alderman at Large Michael Bryan.
Present, thank you.
You have 4 in attendance and 1 absent.
Okay. Also online in attendance for the record is Alderman Senate. And I think we also might have at a later, perhaps coming, Tim Cummings, Administrative Services. But also in attendance, we have Ms. Camille Correa of the Transit Administrator, Mr. Matt Sullivan, Community Development Director, and we may anticipate Ms. Dawn Enright, CFO, in attending. And we also have listed some others, Mr. Sam Durfee, Planning Department Manager, Ms. Liz Hannum, Economic Development Director, and Jill Stanfield, the Parking Manager. These people may also be in attendance to some degree. If anybody is online that wants to communicate, can you give us a shout, because we're going to be bringing up maps, and when we bring up the maps, sometimes we can't see your hand go up and everything. So, with that being done, I think we've done all our business. Oh, also, Alderman John Sullivan is in excused absence. He's away on a business trip and unable to make it to the meeting. We're going to preempt a little bit of the schedule just briefly, because it is related, and we're going to
We'll do the public hearing first.
yeah, we're going to bring up the discussion on, was it the,
No, we're going to do the public hearing first.
no, we have the attorney in residence, so we kind of agreed
But we have to have the public hearing on Major Drive.
we can move the schedule. So, yes, Mr. Sullivan.
Mr. Chair, the public hearing can take place as scheduled. at
Okay,
7
that's
p.m.
right, all right.
What I believe the request is to then move the petition under Section 8 of the agenda for Major Drive and Spalding Street
Right after
directly after the
Okay.
public hearing. Yep.
All right, then. I was kind of hoping with the counselor here could probably pre-explain why we're doing the hearing on the petitions, but we could put the horse before the carrot, so this is the same thing, same goal. So, we're going to have the petition of street continuance of Major Drive. It's up here on the map. It's associated with the housing development that the city does own. It's got to become, in the future, you've heard terms, us discussing it, Maynard Homes. We're going from, I forget exactly how many structures, to more than double what we're going to do. It's something that's sorely needed in this community to increase our housing capabilities. So these are probably post-World War II development. We could do a nice, better, and more efficient building, and that's what we're doing today. So with that, to develop this, we're going to need to no longer have a couple of streets. And that'll allow the best planning and access for and thank you for highlighting that, the highlighted area. So with that, we're going to first discuss street discontinuance of Major Drive. So I will accept testimony in favor.
You can explain it if you'd like.
Yeah, and in favor, you may explain.
Good Good evening.
Could you just give your name and address and who you represent? And
I don't know if that's going to get any calls. That's all right. Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Hardigan. I'm an attorney at Gottesman and Hollis. I'm here on behalf of the Nashua Housing and Redevelopment Authority, as well as Tremont Development. They are a joint effort in the redevelopment of this project. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the explanation of why we are here. You are correct. The project is a redevelopment project with the Housing Authority. It has been fully approved by the Planning Board. This is one of the last conditions of approval that is needed prior to financing. And for the redevelopment, these two roads are essentially in the middle of the project. We own, by we, meaning the Housing Authority and Redevelopment, owns all of the property around it except for one of the abutters, which we have their consent to this discontinuance. So we are here this evening for a favorable recommendation to discontinue Major and Spalding roads.
okay. Any questions from members on the committee? Which I will allow. It's supposed to be, but that's a good explanation. And the other thing that the next item hearing we're going to lead into, and while you're at the podium, Spalding, it's the same thing, correct?
Spalding and Major is the same.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
correct.
if you look at the map, you look at the one that's going in the peripheral around the red highlighted, that is Spalding Street.
Correct.
So that's the full encompass of the property. Okay,
Mr. Chairman?
yes.
May I ask, is it all of Spalding, or is
Yeah,
it
it's
just
my
from
question, too.
Ingalls? It's only from Ingalls, right?
It is from Ingalls to Major. Is
To
what
Major,
is to be-
correct. So
correct.
it's
Right,
lower
this
portion
area,
here,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's.
Yeah, it's not, no, not the entire street.
So it's just from here, you can see where the mouse is, all the way around, correct?
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That turns back into, that around portion is actually
This major drive,
as
right?
well.
So it's just this
So it's
little,
just-
this little portion?
Right.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
The, if you look to the left, the residential properties that are numbered,
Right.
they're going to stay the same on Spalding, so be the same. Alderman Thibodeau.
Could you, if you know, could you highlight the residence that is in favor of this, just so proximity?
Do you know the number?
73 Burke,
Hold on.
which I'm not sure what their map and lot is.
So this is Burke up here,
Your Burke runs
this one right here.
this way,
Yeah.
yes.
So it's, let me just see here, what that one is. Oh, that's still Major Drive.
Yeah, there's
That's it
those-
right
these-
there. So it's this red one right here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because this one here is still the Housing Authority, but it's this one right here.
And then the two south of that red one, those are part of Housing Authority? Those two?
Hold on, I can tell you in
Okay.
a second. Let's see, hold on. Okay, that one is on Ingalls. This is Ingalls Street, and so this is not, these are not being affected. Oh, they are. No, that's Ingalls Street, so. So it can't be this, because this is Burke Street, so it can't be 35 Burke Street.
70, let's see, I'm
So
looking
is
at the
it down?
purchase and sale right now.
This
It
one right here.
is 73.
73
Okay.
Burke Street, this one right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that one,
Very good. Thank you.
Yep.
because this is Major Drive here.
Correct.
Okay, when she is done, you're more than welcome to come up, miss, okay?
Any further questions?
Any further questions? Counselor, thank you.
Thank you.
Miss, welcome. Yes, come up. You need to get on the microphone.
And you have to say your name, you have to give your name and address, sorry.
Yeah, we don't have many
Can we bring it
rules,
down
but
lower?
Yeah, I'm surprised we're the only ones here from the neighborhood. I'm like, what? Am I in the right meeting? Anyway,
you're at the right place as far as I'm concerned.
I'm
Yes.
from 56 Burke Street.
Yes.
My name is Yvette. That's my husband, Victor. And my question is that little red box that you just highlighted there
Right here, yep.
in my own language, is that going to be removed?
No.
No,
No.
no, no.
So you have permission from them to do whatever you need to do?
This road right here.
Can you share the mic when reply? Yes. Or sit in one of our chairs
So
if you will.
73, that red box, they've agreed to allow, this is a discontinuance plan, I can show the board as well.
No, please do.
This is the discontinuance plan, so all we're here asking for is to shut these roads down, and they will no longer be roads. That's all this will not be. This will be all redeveloped, but the roads, this road right here will be.
So I guess you're just gonna have to tell me, how is that gonna affect me on 56 Burke Street?
This Burke Street, there'll be no change. You just won't be able to drive through here anymore. That's it.
You said you're 56, so you're over on this side?
And Miss,
Yes.
keep in mind, even though your property, you gotta have construction when this gets developed.
Oh, I'm gonna stay to listen to them.
You know, so,
This is just so you see, this is the plan that I'm showing here, so this discontinuance.
So this,
Okay.
what's highlighted there is
Thank
yours.
you.
Discontinuance
Right.
plan. Show everybody, so we're all looking at the same thing.
Yeah.
Just this one, road here and this portion.
Yes.
Here.
Yeah.
I've seen it a couple of times now, but just this and right here, that's all I'm talking about.
okay, additional testimony in favor? Seeing none, we'll close. I'll open it up for testimony in opposition. Seeing none, I'll go back to testimony in favor. Again, seeing none, testimony in opposition. Seeing none, the public hearing on the petition of street discontinuance of Major Drive has been declared closed at 7:12 p.m. And now we will move on. I'll open up the public hearing on the petition of street discontinuance of Spalding Street. And I'll open that up at 7:12 p.m. as well. I think what we heard for Major Drive applies to Spalding. So, any further, did you?
No,
Counselor?
that's correct. They're the same, Spalding and Major are the same issues or arguments, if you will.
Excuse me,
It's
Yes,
just
go
for
ahead.
clarification,
It's
that's
just,
portion.
it's just a portion of Spalding, yes. It's not the entire road, just that tail within the confines of the property.
Okay. Any questions from members of the committee on that? Okay, I'll open it up to the public comment, testimony in favor. Nothing, I'll close that and open up testimony in opposition. Seeing none, I'll close that. Second ask of testimony in favor. Nobody, so I'll open up testimony in opposition. And seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing, the petition of street discontinuance of Spalding Street was declared closed at 7:13 p.m. Okay, and at this time, at 7:13, got to open up the regular meeting of the Board of Infrastructure. That being said, open up the meeting to public comment. Anybody wants to come up and speak? It has to be an item that's kind of on the agenda, but, okay. We'll close public comment, and we're very fortunate, yes.
Now you're going to push up the petition for Major Drive.
Oh, yeah, yes. Yes,
I'll make a motion that we take number 8 on the agenda out of order. It's the petitions for street discontinuance of Major Drive and Spalding Street. I'll make a motion that we grant the street continuance on both, discontinuance of both.
Duly so noted. All right, so Alderman Dowd. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Very good. Right, Counselor, thank you. Okay, back to,
Presentation.
before we get deeper into the weeds, we have a presentation by the Nashua Transit System. I think we have two representatives. I welcome you back to come up, and you may sit in the good seats. Anywhere you wish.
There's not many left.
We'll start the clock.
Shouldn't have said that. Would it be possible to get the Acrobat document up? Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Which way do we? How do I bring it to all?
You actually go to the bottom right where you see the little page next to it. Yep, that's it. And then you click full screen mode, which is right at the bottom where you, of course, can't see.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is right there.
I gotta go back.
All right, I welcome Mr. Matt Sullivan of
Sorry.
Community Development Director, and I welcome Ms. Camille Correa of the Transit Administrators. And at this time, without objection, I'll turn the meeting over to Director Sullivan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Again, for the record, Matt Sullivan, Community Development Director. I'm joined by Camille Correa, the Transit Administrator for the City of Nashua, really functionally the Transit Director, and she'll provide an introduction in just a few minutes. I did promise a 31-minute presentation. We'll see whether we hit that on the mark, but we're thankful to be here this evening. Well, interestingly, I actually have my own started right now. So I am a bit long-winded, and this is a 28-slide presentation, so bear with us. But truly, we appreciate the opportunity to be here this evening, particularly on a lighter agenda, so we can talk to you about, thank you, Alderman Clee, the Nashua Transit System. You might be wondering why we're here. Alderman Dowd actually asked me before the meeting, what business are we operating on tonight? And the answer is nothing. Interestingly, though, there is a role that the Committee on Infrastructure plays relative to the Nashua Transit System, and this, admittedly, was a bit unbeknownst to me until Ms. Correa and I were looking through the regulations. There's this line within the staffing section of the Nashua Revised Ordinances that refers to the fact that the Transportation Department Manager in the Community Development Division, of course, works with me directly, but also shall provide, quote, timely reports to the Aldermanic Infrastructure Committee. Well, it's been about 5 years, so we figured that this was probably timely to provide some level of update to all of you. But in all seriousness, this is the first of what I think will be either biannual or annual updates that we provide about NTS moving forward, because NTS is really doing some incredible work under Ms. Correa's leadership and really facing some unprecedented challenges as well. And we need to be talking to you folks more regularly when it comes to all of those things, because we can't just be coming here or to the Budget Committee every year to ask for money without explaining some of the great work that's going on and who our riders really are. And so that's why we're here this evening. And we're going to sort of tag team a presentation for you that's very broad in nature, sort of an existing conditions of what we do right now. And then we'll get into a kind of a project-specific set of slides where we'll talk about some of the challenges we're facing right now, some exciting things that we're working on. But the goal really is, and it's cliche, but the goal is to start a conversation this evening. We're here to answer questions as late as you want, although we're sticking to 31 minutes. We're already 1 minute, 59 seconds in. But in all seriousness, we're just excited to have an opportunity to talk to you about the great work that NTS is doing. With that, I'm going to pass it off to Camille to introduce herself and get into sort of that existing conditions of NTS as it stands today.
Good evening. Camille Correa, the Transit Administrator for Nashua Transit System. It's great to see everyone this evening. Thank you for the opportunity to provide an overview. If you have additional questions for us, please don't hesitate to ask. We'll do the best that we can to answer this evening, and if you require additional information after the meeting, we'll be happy to provide it as well.
Okay, excuse me, Ms. Correa. Do you like to be interrupted in the presentation? So if one of the aldermen have a focused question on what you're discussing at that particular time instead of waiting, or do you want to wait to the end? I'll give you
Well,
that
it doesn't
choice.
look like anybody's coming after us, so I'm perfectly content answering anything that you ask me.
Thank you for your
Same with,
allowance.
I
Yeah.
believe.
I'd like everything at the end. No, I'm just kidding. No, we're happy to answer.
Thing to Director Sullivan, and we'll be all set.
No,
I'll tell you,
we're good.
Mr. Sullivan, when you're on a roll, you're on a roll. Some
That's
people
right.
don't like to be interrupted.
We're good to answer
And this
questions
is
whenever.
transit.
I know.
You're on a roll.
That's right, that's right.
You can claim your time on the 31 minutes.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I'll concede your time back, yes.
Oh,
this
thank
one?
you,
Okay,
thank you.
good. Right. As it states here on the slide, our mission for the Nashua Transit System is to connect people with their destinations in Greater Nashua through safe and reliable public transportation services. The reason why we chose these particular words is because when the transportation system is not reliable, then people will look elsewhere. So we work very hard every day to make sure that we are as reliable as we can be. Anyone who drives in the city of Nashua can see a detour at any time, can see an accident, and very, really realistic, unforeseen things that may happen within a day. And in order to accomplish this mission, we have a structure of people that have been in transit really between maybe just a couple of months all the way to 41 years. So we have longevity within our positions, especially the city employees, the administrative and the maintenance team, and also the operations team for Nashua Transit System. The person who leads the operation for the city has been with the organization since 1984, and the organization actually started providing fixed route service in 1984. So she's very familiar with the actual service and the routing within the city of Nashua and also the region. In addition to the city employees, we also have approximately 30 people employed by the transportation contractor, and these people will do the driving and also the dispatching and just overseeing the operations for the transportation contractor to make sure that the service goes on the road. In addition to that, we have people within the city that help us, and that would be an indirect or in-kind contribution, especially if there's issues with road access or snow plowing and making sure that we can get to our service locations within the city. Also, in order to provide this reliable service, we have two types of service. We have demand response, which is the smaller vehicles that will go to door, and the larger vehicles, which do primarily fixed route. The city itself has services that they provide Monday through Friday for seniors above the age of 65 for both non-medical and medical transportation. And Monday through Saturday, there is what's called a complimentary paratransit service because it complements the fixed route service for persons who are unable to access the fixed route due to a physical or mental impairment. The demand response overall in fiscal year 2025 provided 15,000 of the 390,000 boardings within that year. The demand response service also extends out into the region, in the municipal service for Sohegan Valley Transportation and their communities extends to Amherst, Brookline, Hollis, Milford, Mount Vernon, and for persons within that area into Nashua for most of the time medical services and Wilton. We also contract service with or provide contracted service with the town of Merrimack for demand response service and also the town of Hudson. Do you have any questions on demand response? Regarding the fixed route service, this service is offered Monday through Saturday along with the complimentary ADA paratransit service. We offer 10 weekday routes along with 2 weeknight routes, and then on Saturday, the 3 and the 5 do not operate. So there's 8 Saturday day routes and 2 Saturday night routes. There's approximately 390 bus stops within the city of Nashua, and there's over 400 that are primarily serviced by more than one route. So we have unique bus stops and then bus stops that service more than one route. The transit center is also located at 30 Elm Street between the Elm Street parking garage and City Hall. And the fixed route service overall in fiscal year 2025 provided 375,000 boardings. For the size of the service in the city of Nashua, that is fantastic. And the reason I say that is because there are many people that utilize the service within Nashua to go to work, medical appointments, and shopping. Those are the top 3 primary locations that someone will go. Regarding the service itself and the fixed route, regarding the fixed route service, we do have ridership by route. Some of our routes are what we call coverage routes, which go out into the communities. And also, in addition to that, there's corridor routes, which primarily serve the corridors where people will come from their home and go to a location along the corridor to go shopping or to go to work. The highest ridership is on DW and also Amherst Street corridor routes. The DW routes are Route 6 and 6A, and the Amherst Street routes are 2 and 2A. Both of those routes also have night service. The south route operates on the DW, and on the Amherst Street corridor, the night route provides that service in the evening, 6 days a week. The ridership trends you'll see here are from 2010 through 2024, and I'd like to provide a few highlights. And with these highlights, NTS experienced a period of ridership growth due to the introduction of additional routes from 2010 to 2016. So you can see the growth on the chart. However, the trend was reversed as the ridership began to decline following the removal of some of the services. A new fixed route was implemented in 2020. So you can see where in 2019 it was a little higher, and then in 2020 the ridership started to drop. And the main reason for that is because of the changes to the schedule, the elimination of Route 8, and significant disruption occurred between March of 2020 and fiscal year 2022 when the COVID pandemic led to a demand response only service for several months, and also a demand response, so a service model also that caused the ridership to plummet to about half of the pre-pandemic levels. During the time, also, NTS supported the city by delivering meals and implemented extensive safety measures like plexiglass barriers, mandatory mask use, and social distancing when a reduced fixed route service was introduced later in 2020. So during that time period from 2020 to 2022, you also see that the pandemic started to ease and the ridership started to go up, with the lowest ridership in 2021. As the pandemic eased, there was also, which was put into place, a federal entry-level driver training program called the ELDT, which was introduced in February 2022, causing a nationwide shortage of commercial driver's licensed drivers that complicated the service restoration efforts. At that time, we also had some ridership that became quite static, and we had to merge routes together. So the 7 and the 12 became the 712. And with that, people had to ride a little bit further during that time period. But we tried to make sure that there was coverage in all of the areas. Yes.
Okay, we do have a question by Alderman Clay.
Sure.
If you don't mind, you may have touched on it. We also, if I remember correctly, and that might have been what you were alluding to, I remembered we had some issues with trying to find the drivers, and we had to do increased pays to try to to do that. Is that in that 2021, 2022? I'm trying to remember what year it
2022
was.
to 2023 time
Yeah,
period,
okay.
yes. You remember exactly correctly, yes.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Despite the challenges, NTS was able to restore all previously offered services, excluding the central night service, in the summer of 2023, following the lifting completely of the COVID-19 restrictions. This allowed the positive ridership trend to begin in 2022 to 2023, with boardings increasing year over year. And in 2024, we ended the year with 375,000 boardings, and in 2025, ended the fiscal year with 390,000 boardings. Also, in order to provide reliable service and needs to be on time. With some of the things that I mentioned earlier, such as the traffic and the detours and the road construction, there's times when some of those routes do not operate on time. So the contractor will work within those parameters to try to provide additional service, or if we know about a detour in advance, we try to make sure that our passengers know which bus stops are available or not available. So we do a lot of public engagement during that time period. Overall, with all of the challenges, we have an on-time performance for the period of 2020 to 2024 of 90% or above for fixed route, and for ADA paratransit, 95% or above, as you can see from the chart. We're very fortunate that we have dedicated professionals, both in the office and on the road, that really focus on that on-time performance and the reliable service. The fleet and facilities is a very important aspect of providing that service as well. The city has worked diligently to have a diversified fleet of 22 vehicles in the revenue fleet, ranging for the fuels from CNG to hybrid electric buses. We have 3 old diesel buses that are being replaced. One is going to be a CNG and 2 will be an unleaded, just to make sure that diversification of the fleet continues. And we also have 7 22 to 27-foot unleaded buses that we will be replacing in the future. We have admin vehicles as well. One is an electric Nissan Leaf, and the Ford Escape is an unleaded vehicle. The fleet diversity will continue to allow the NTS to be able to fluctuate with the purchase of the fuels that we need, because if for some reason the CNG station went down, we would also have vehicles available that would be able to provide service because they are fueled by a different fuel type. So that's the main reason for the diversity.
May I just interject quickly to ask Ms. Correa to speak a little bit about the role that NTS actually played in Saturday's event? And this again lends itself to the fact that we need buses available quickly. I don't know if you could quickly comment, Camille, on how NTS participated in Saturday's events.
Oh, sure. Saturday evening, I received a call from Division Director Sullivan asking if NTS would go to Spitbrook Road to assist with unification. And so I called the contractor, and he called the driver, and the driver was there within 15 minutes. I arrived about 5 minutes later. We were prepared for reunification or moving people from one location to another because of prior training, and making sure that people are aware of what is expected before we go out into a community. So those vehicles were fueled and ready to go. The utility worker made sure that the vehicle came out and was ready to go and was cleaned and fueled, and the driver inspected it, and the contractor came out with snacks to get us ready for the event, and that was very helpful because we weren't sure how long that we would be waiting. So we arrived at Spitbrook Road, and then we were directed to move people from the fire department to the Sheraton, and we chose a 30-foot vehicle because it was more flexible to get in between vehicles that may have been parked in the road at the Sheraton or other locations. And we moved approximately 150 people within a 2-hour period, thanks to the assistance of the emergency management and the team of firefighters and police that were quick to respond and helpful to provide direction.
I just want to maybe add or commend Ms. Correa and the team. She's absolutely correct. I called her that evening. She picked up immediately. Was immediately on her way to get access to a bus, in contact with a contractor. We do training and planning around these types of events, but it's obviously different when it takes place. But it certainly didn't seem that way. And so I just want to thank her for all of her efforts in a very challenging circumstance, but it's also one of the advantages of having NTS as part of an entity of the city. I'm not suggesting the response would have been different, but it is an advantage of having coordinated and collaborative planning around emergencies that pay off in an event like that to the extent that they did. So just great work by her team.
Thank you. Would you like to talk a little bit about the resilience goals?
I'll add just quickly, it sort of relates to the fuel diversity. You may have heard, if you see me at Finance Committee and I'm there talking about unleaded vehicle purchases or fuel sources that may not be renewable. I know I have Doria Brown on one side of me telling me that that's a bad thing, but I also have Camille, for very good reasons, telling me that we need to diversify our fleet. And Camille mentioned that CNG is always a question mark. There are problems sometimes with the station. That's not a criticism of the contractor, but things do happen. And so you'll continue to hear, certainly Camille and also myself at Finance Committee moving forward, requesting different types of vehicles. Even in the event that we were to electrify, we would not go all in on electrification of our vehicles simply because of the need to have access to any type of fuel source in an event. And so Camille and I have spent a lot of time talking about that, and despite some of our more ambitious greening goals across the city, there are very good reasons to not move there too quickly when it comes to transit. And I think Camille spoke well to those, but certainly agree, and I'm in agreement with her on that.
And if I may, I do remember when we got the 2 hybrid, and I think that was in cooperation or coordination with a local employer, Sanders Association. And still Sanders to me. And to a lot of people. But what is good is glad to see they're still doing good and everything. I was very impressed, being the gearhead a little bit, but yeah. Good to see. So efficiency is the case. And the other thing, while I interrupted you, being a former deputy chief on the fire department, I had to call for buses for displaced people at fires, in large numbers. One of them was a roof collapse in an apartment building during heavy snows. And so it's a great asset to have that. You don't want people out there freezing or exposed to weather conditions in any type of traumatic incident, just makes it worse,
I'd also just add, Alderman O'Brien, if I may, that, during our extreme heat and extreme cold events, the buses provide a form of shelter, in fact, to folks, whether they're unhoused or housed. Riding on a bus provides you with some level of shelter in those events. And so they are part of our extreme temperature event planning as well.
Yeah. Continue?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Unless anybody else wants to interrupt. Okay.
NTS does have 3 facilities. One is an admin facility. The other is a maintenance facility. They are both located at 11 Riverside Street, and one transit center for public conveyances located at 30 Elm Street. Part of providing service is to make sure that people know that the service exists. Believe it or not, unless somebody knows about the actual service itself, they'll say, wow, I've never noticed those blue buses until I needed one, or until a friend needed one, or a family member was riding one, or the fact that somebody was out in the community and went to a fair and festival and we spoke about it. So it's been a wonderful opportunity to go into the community and have transit information meetings, listening sessions. What do people want? What do they want to see in the future? What would they like the bus to look like on the inside? Do they want plastic seats or cloth seats? Do they want Wi-Fi on board? What would benefit the person to have a good experience? We also go to outreach or fairs and festivals to do outreach. We have print media in both Spanish and English. We provide public comment opportunities, and with the socials, if there is a delay in the route, we do post on social media and also on Civic Engage. We try to turn that around really quickly and or as far advanced as we can possibly make it. We attend both community and statewide meetings. It's very important to participate in the local meetings so that if someone needs to call us or would like to know more about the transportation system, would like a travel trainer to go to teach people how to ride the bus, or maybe someone is just a little bit afraid to try or venture out, then we want to make sure that they know who we are, they know our name, or they can easily find us or contact us if they need to. Carrie Miller is our mobility manager, and she's very accessible, and when people call her, she calls back, and she schedules travel training as quickly as she can. Yes, sir.
Okay, we have another question from Alderman Clee. Alderman Clee.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. When you talk about the listening sessions and outreach and public comment and so on, that would also include when we did have that kerfuffle, so to speak, with drivers and so on, you were having public meetings to discuss the temporary changes you were making in the buses, rather than trying to stop the bus altogether. You were making changes and so on, and you, if I remember correctly, you had a lot of meetings with the public. You took into consideration some that had been excluded from those bus stops and so on, and you made. So that would be part of the listening sessions that you do, as well as just what kind of seats you want and so on.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up, because during that time period, we were not able to provide as much fixed route service. However, there were certain stops that people needed to go to along the route too, and that was Dartmouth, Hampton Inn, and some others.
Right.
So we made van service available at the transit center, and it was more of an express route using the van service so that people could get to where they needed to go, and they paid the fixed route fare in order to get there.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I went to a few of those meetings, and you were really good. And it helped me because a lot of the Ward 3 fixed routes were changed and so on, and which created some confusion. But
Thank you. Thank you for your leadership through that, because when you were involved and provided that leadership in that direction, more people came to the meeting and provided that insight.
Good.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Looking at your topic, is this a good way to segue into our, I'm not talking about myself, the elderly community, but what are you laughing about? The thing is, do we have something special, like they can get a pass and utilize a discounted fare and thus be more than welcomed? And can you discuss just briefly, I know it, but you ever see a bus kneel? We have kneeling buses, and to be full accommodating, and if you want to throw your bike on, throw it on. So can you just give a brief, this is your chance with the public, who our ratings are extremely high, so, you know, to the public, so take advantage.
I don't think they could get any higher than right now. We do offer a senior ID, and that senior ID is available at the transit center. We also do public engagement, where we'll go out into the senior living facilities for persons who are unable to come to us. We will sign them up for the senior ID. Every ride is free. You must be 60 and older and provide a picture ID that's a valid picture ID that has your date of birth on it. And then you can ride as much as you would like. It's non-transferable, so it's not for anybody else except for the person that actually has signed up for the program. And it's been very successful. Many people have given it high ratings, and if we had a score of 1 to 5, I would say they make it a 5+, because they really enjoy having that program and having the flexibility of going wherever they would like to go within the city on the fixed route, utilizing that ID. When you board, you show it, and then the driver will account for that rider of that fare type. And it's been phenomenal. And BAAS assists the city with providing that reimbursement for that ride for that senior to take that trip and be able to take it for free. In addition, we do have the bike racks on the front of all the buses. It is only for people that have a bike that has just the regular wheels, not those Mac Daddy wheels. So we do not have the bike rack that has for the fat tire. In the future, I believe there's some sustainability efforts, or through the sustainability department, there's some efforts to do a further reach with bicycles, and we look forward to partnership in that endeavor in the future. Gate City Bike Co-op does provide bikes, and we do partner with them when they are providing that bike to someone, and so that people know about the service. Donna Marceau from NRPC works with us and also works with Gate City Co-op, so tries to bring people together. And anyone we see that's walking or has a dilapidated bike or needs some assistance with bikes, we always refer them to them so that people can have a bike. And with that service, you can get a new bike once a year. And and those are for free as well. We also provide service to persons who are unable to step up on the vehicle, and so the ramps will come out and assist people to be able to just walk on directly without having to step up or step down. And you are exactly right, every single vehicle we have kneels, so that if they don't need the ramp but they need it a little bit lower, that is an option and available at any time. And it's not for persons with a disability, it's for everyone. So we want to make sure that anyone can utilize that if they need to. Sometimes people get on with bags or carts, and you need that extra assistance to not be able to step up as high, and so it could be used for that as well. We do ask if somebody brings a shopping cart on board that is the smaller unit so that there's enough space for other people. If you bring a beach cart, there's really not enough space for people and the beach cart. So we want to make people a priority, and then the cart's second, of course. So people can come on with what they can place in the area that they're sitting. So that would be a smaller cart, bags that they can carry on in one load as well. Because we want people to be able to go shopping and go to work and take the items that they need to in order to get their work done within a day.
Just a follow-up, if I may. For our friends who are, let's say, wheelchair-bound, do we provide a secure situation for them on the bus that they can climb on, board with the wheelchair and everything, and they could be like locked in so the transit is not affecting them?
Yes, every vehicle that we have has two wheelchair securement positions. And one vehicle that we have, 225, has equipment on board called the Quantum that you can actually secure yourself. Otherwise, the driver does secure the wheelchairs, and there is a shoulder belt and lap belt option for people on board the fixed route, and a shoulder belt and lap belt requirement for those that ride on the van service, because everybody who rides the van service must wear a seatbelt.
Very good, thank you.
Yes. Another thing we do add and offer is people can bring a personal care attendant on if it is required and that person does ride for free, but they must be performing a job for that person, not as a guest. And in addition, there are people that do have service animals. The difference between a service animal and an emotional support animal is that a service animal does perform a task, and that task is for that person. So it could be that they have a dog that sits on their lap because it smells their breath, or it could be that the animal does sit on the floor because it performs a different function. So each animal performs that task for that person and are not treated in a cookie cutter approach as to what a service animal may or may not be doing. It is really specific to that individual. Great questions. Thank you very much.
I'm trying to get the ratings up.
Awesome. Thank you. Another place that people can obtain information, especially through public engagement, is our website. We have news feeds. You can sign up to receive posts via email and also text messaging. And everything transit related to Nashua Transit System is on this site. Quickly, we'll go through the budget revenue and expense overview. As an example, for fiscal year '25, for the 100% of revenue, 52% is federal funding from both the 5307 and 5310 grants. The difference between these two grants is 5307 is for everyone in the urbanized area, which we're in, and 5310 is only for persons that have disabilities or for seniors above the age of 65. These grants are provided by the Federal Transit Administration, and in order to utilize these grants, you need a match. And the match money for that was used to post against the expenses. This revenue was brought in 18% from general fund, 16% from other local match such as state operating match and contracted service, and then 14% from fare box revenue. Sometimes we'll hear people say, well, I pay a fare. Yes, but that fare is not equal to the total cost to operate the system. It's just a portion of that cost. With that revenue that we do bring in, it is used to match the expenses, and the annual budget for expenses is divided into administrative, operating, planning, and capital maintenance. The breakdown is 77% administrative, operating, and planning, and 23% capital maintenance, and that would be the maintenance of all of the vehicles and all of the buildings. It's not moving. There we go. Okay. In order to receive funding from the federal government, you must follow the rules and regulations under the master agreement. As it states here under the master agreement, it is the authorized USC Chapter 53 program. That's why the two grants that we apply for, in addition to a third, which is called the 5339, which is capital, they are under the 53 program, and there is a lot of 53 programs that we do not obtain money for Nashua Transit, but our region obtains it, such as the 5305 for planning for the NRPC. So there is a lot of opportunity to bring funding into our community, and majority of that funding is apportioned to our urbanized area. So if you don't spend it, it goes somewhere else. So in order to spend it, you have to have that revenue, and in addition to that, you also have to follow the rules and regulations. Part of this is we have to have specific documents in place that govern what we do every day. And some of them are listed to the right, such as the local coordinated plan, which is put together by the NRPC, the Title VI plan, public participation plan, the DBE plan for persons who are women-owned or minority-owned businesses, drug and alcohol plan, and also the comprehensive plan, which we use for the Nashua Transit System and in our region. FTA also provides oversight for the program itself. We have a triennial review every 3 years. Our last triennial review was in 2023, and Transit did not have any findings. Our next triennial review is in the spring of 2026, and that process will begin in November of 2025. The FTA oversight is grants management and the CFR 200, financial reporting, and then not only the triennial review, but other reviews as well for drug and alcohol and other aspects of the programs that we provide. The Title VI plan, just to touch on a few highlights, it is a plan for equity and non-discriminatory. It promotes full and fair participation in the NTS decision-making without regard to race, color, or national origin. Where transportation systems get tripped up is they add a lot more description to the decision-making, and they'll add religion and some others, which has nothing to do with Title VI. Title VI is only race, color, or national origin. And with that being said, we want to provide meaningful access to transit-related programs for everyone, regardless of who they are and where they come from, and the activities by persons with limited English proficiency so that we can reach out further into the community. Our website does translate into about 1,000 languages, right? And we have the app on board that the drivers can use to do translation. And now a lot of people carry their own phone with the conversational translation from Google, and they'll do a really good job of trying to communicate with us in many different languages.
If I,
Alderman Clay.
thank you. You mentioned that you commented about the translation on the top. That is phenomenal. For those that don't know, it's just on the top and you click a button and like, I don't know, hundreds, looks like of languages come through, things that countries I never even heard of, which was, I found amazing. I accidentally hit it and was like, okay, I know it's up there, now how do I get back up to it? But yeah, it was pretty amazing. I appreciated that, you having that ability.
How did you hit it?
No, I grabbed one of the languages because I wanted to see it, and it was like,
Oh.
okay, no, I can't read anything here, so I had to go back up there and find English. Yeah.
Do you have Gaelic?
Yes, it is.
Is it, they have
Oh,
Gaelic?
yes, they have Gaelic.
Well, should have begun. Yes.
Yeah, you should check it out, see how
It is.
how accurate it is, yeah. And then let me know. NTS does provide the service documents in Spanish and English because according to our Title VI, that is the language of persons who speak English less than very well, the highest percentage. So it must be over 1,000 or above 5% of our total population. The plan is out and available for review. It's on our website, and there's also a news feed about it. We've reached out to many of the committees within the community in order to do a further reach for persons who may be involved with an organization that works with people that have limited English proficiency. So we've had great feedback, and most of it is positive, and also told us that we misspelled a word. But past that, well, at least they read it, right? So they have been very instrumental in making sure that they provide feedback to us in many aspects of transit-related programmatic endeavors, and so it's great that they've been involved with the Title VI plan as well. The local coordinated plan is a mandatory plan that NRPC provides all the direction, all the outreach, and all the updates. Right now, they are prioritizing all of the transportation needs within the region, and that includes the whole of Region 7. And it's adopted every 5 years. It's led, of course, by NRPC and their staff. And the goal is to emphasize on seniors, disabled individuals, low-income individuals, individuals without vehicle access, and youth. If you don't have this plan in place, the region does not receive 5310 funding. That's how important it is. So kudos to NRPC for all of their engagement for many months and working within the regional, the RCC, to make sure that they got feedback.
One of the optional plans that Camille identified on one of the earlier slides is the comprehensive plan. NTS currently has a comprehensive plan, and that plan serves as really a 10-year strategy for how the Nashua Transit System will operate, how it may expand operations, how it will identify additional funding sources, and other goals for the service that might exist over that 10-year period. We're actually currently working on an update to our 10-year comprehensive plan with the National Regional Planning Commission, really to identify what those goals might look like from 2025 through 2035. And you get a sense of what they might look like in the yellow text box to the right-hand side there. These high-level goals should come as no surprise: improving system performance, enhancing the passenger experience, fostering community connections, modernizing fleet facilities and infrastructure, and identifying sustainable future funding sources. But it's really the recommendations that fall below these goals where things really get interesting, some ideas we have about how to actually accomplish these goals. We're not going to get into this tonight because one of Camille and my goals is to actually bring forward legislation to you before the session is up, which we know there's very little time left. But to actually ask the aldermen to symbolically adopt this plan to form that foundation for our next 10 years of work. And at that time, we'll go through a more detailed presentation, but that's one of the reasons we wanted to come to you this evening, to make you aware of this document and the guidance that it provides us with, but to also make you aware that we'll be coming forward for a more detailed conversation in the future. We've actually touched on a few of these items this evening. I wanted to provide maybe just some broad narrative on a few critical issues that have come up over the last 3 to 4 years that I've been in my position, that Camille has been a part of as well. I think we've actually touched on all of these, in fact, and I think you've all been a part of them. But we were significantly impacted by ridership during the COVID-19 pandemic. Camille can speak more specifically to this if there are questions, but it's its own science. And that is the relationship between ridership and federal funding. There was always a risk that based on ridership decline, there was a potential that if we didn't rebound at the same rate that other transit systems did, that we would not be receiving the same level of FTA or Federal Transit Administration funding. So there were significant concerns there. But one of the odd things that happened is that the city was a recipient of several funding sources as in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, CARES funding specifically, that really acted to float, if you will, many of the expenses of the Nashua transit system. And what that meant was that when it came to what the city itself, through the general fund, was allocating to the system, it allowed the city to contribute less for several years while that federal COVID money was coming in. But then what happened, and that's really what this local allocation increase bullet point is about, you may recall that 2 years ago, as part of the operational budget, the fiscal 25 operational budget, I came to you with Camille to say we have a sort of a mini fiscal cliff here, where despite the fact that you've contributed between $300,000 and $400,000 annually to the Nashua transit system historically, because of this COVID-19 money going away, you need to double that contribution. And so we made the ask to you for about $800,000 of funding. And I think saying thank you is probably not enough. You agreed that we were at this sort of imminent point, or at this critical point rather, in our funding formula, and you agreed to double our allocation as part of the operational budget, and that's been continued on. And so we're very appreciative of that. The service simply could not be provided at the same level without that doubling that you agreed to. We're not out of the woods yet, quite frankly. Costs are increasing substantially, and we'll touch on this in just a few minutes. But that injection of funding was really critical for ensuring that service could continue to be provided. And then the last thing I'll just mention here is that you're absolutely right, Alderwoman Klee, you mentioned this, and Camille also mentioned it. We faced significant labor force challenges in 2022 and 2023. You may recall that we came forward to you with sort of an emergency request to modify our contract with our operational provider based on challenges securing CDL drivers. We were cutting routes, we were making modifications to our system left and right. And again, we came to you and you agreed to make a modification to a contract based on an emergency situation. And without that, we wouldn't be where we are today. And so, first of all, just thank you. But these issues do persist, and I think you may be aware of what happened with the school system over the last year with the transportation contract there. We expect similar challenges as we move forward, and we don't have any answers to that this evening, but it's something we all need to be aware of. I know that Alderwoman Klee has a question, it looks like.
Yeah, Alderman Klee.
Thank you, Chairman O'Brien. The question that I have was, during the COVID outbreak, I was one of those people that rode the bus to help pass out breakfast and lunch with the United Way and so on. How was that funded? Did that get funded through the CARES, or was that supplemented through, because you didn't have ridership at that point? I mean, you might have, but it was low during that time. But the NTS buses were the ones that were transporting us around the city to pass out lunches and breakfasts and so on. That had been 2020 and 2021.
So,
correct?
without having the information in front of me, my best estimate would be that it was a combination of funding, depending upon what the service was. And so for persons who were above the age of 65 or disabled, there would be certain funding. Then there would be CARES Act funding, and there would be just regular capital operating and planning funding, because when you write those grants, that grant has a time period, and it also has a description as to how it's used. And so just depending on what service is provided, because within that time period, that only lasted for a few months. And then you had additional service that went back into effect, but it was demand response service. And then it was fixed route service. So we want to make sure that when we go to do a reimbursement, we use the correct cost or accounting code for the database to have that. So at that time, there was more than one grant written, so that those grants could be reimbursed or expensed for reimbursement depending upon what service was provided.
Okay, follow-up?
Follow-up?
Yes, thank you. If I remember correctly, because I remember the beginning months were cold, then the ending months were hot, so I would say it was probably started, I want to say, around May, and it went through the summer because at that point the kids were out of school, and we were providing lunches and breakfast for children as well as seniors, so it was a little bit of both.
And to Director Sullivan's point about the CARES Act,
Right.
there was an eventual shift to CARES Act only to expend the funding, because the federal government asked that that funding was expended as quickly as possible, and it had to be used for service. It could not be used for anything else. It couldn't be used to purchase a vehicle or to replace equipment. It had to be used for service or capital maintenance. Yeah.
No, NTS stepped up, as did the United Way and the school department and so on, so thank you.
Thank you. We just have a few more slides. Regarding the upcoming future technology upgrades and updates, we do have a transit app that we currently have out and available called Transit App. It's high-tech, so they have a high-tech name called Transit App. It's very simple to use. You just download it from the Play Store or from the Apple Store, and the current option available is the static scheduled times, and then in the near future it'll be real-time bus. So you'll have that scheduled time, and then you'll be able to see the bus, and you can also do your trip planning on it. This does not take the place of Google Transit, which is still available at any time, which you can access on our website. And in the future, as soon as the real-time bus is available, our new program through Swiftly will allow for anyone to see where the bus is utilizing the Transit app or on the NTS website or at the Transit Center, because we eventually will have display screens there once that's up and running. In addition to the Transit app / Swiftly, which is for fixed route, we will have a demand response app from a company called Spare, and it will be an opportunity for people to give us a call, as they can now, to schedule a ride. And once that program is up and running, then we will also have a self-service portal where people will be able to go in and see the location of the bus, be able to cancel, and utilize it for trip scheduling. So we're looking forward to that as well. Part of the technology upgrade with Swiftly is to be able to see where all the vehicles are, whether it's early, late, on time, and back to that reliability portion of our mission statement. We want to make sure that we know where our vehicles are and what's happening out on the road. So in addition to the drivers calling in that there might be a detour or a delay, we will be able to see it real time, right from the database. So this is an example of what the map looks like in the Swiftly database or dashboard that the dispatcher would see.
And if you look closely at that map, you can actually see right downtown, you can see there are some numbers. Those are actually bus locations right there that are indicated. So you can actually see the real-time location. And that's new to us. It's
Yep.
exciting.
We're in the 21st century. It's fantastic.
We got there.
We love it. Yeah.
We do love it.
We also, coming up, will have some regular updates and some bus stop changes. We'll make sure that we provide what's going on with transit or what's up with transit. And we have with the bus stop changes, we have a proposal to modify more than 20 bus stops. Some of those bus stops will be either moved or removed due to safety reasons. And in addition, maybe just move them a little bit because when a bus turns a corner, the bus stop's behind us, and all we have to do is move it up a little bit, or maybe move it back, or maybe have too many bus stops all in a row, maybe 200 feet apart, and so the bus driver is having to stop and stop and stop. So making sure that we have efficiency along the route as well for both the bus driver and the passenger.
This text is intentionally difficult to read, for the record. We are currently in the process of finalizing these modifications, so we didn't want to cause any unnecessary panic this evening. But we'll have a finalized list of modifications coming out soon, but just wanted to share that we are working on this.
And as part of our engagement process, we will have public outreach and allow people to have time to take a look at the list, provide public comment, and they might even have additional bus stops that they recommend needs lighting or shelter, or propose another idea. And we're always open to ideas. Of course, it's funding based and whether or not they can be replaced or added. We do have some capital funding available for bus stops, so we want to make sure that we are good stewards of public funds and provide as much capital updates to those bus stops as we possibly can. Coming up in the near future will be Community Transportation Month. This is a month to celebrate the drivers, the riders, and community transportation in general, which includes public transit and volunteer drivers. So they're very important in our communities. And also any service provider in the state, because it takes all of us to move people, including Uber and Lyft. And so community transportation is about moving people. And that could also be a family member, a friend, it could be a bike, it could be someone who chooses to walk or work remotely. And just in general, it's the combination of both moving people and commute for people. So working together to get as many people on board the bus, and also making sure that people need to go where they need to go, and also reducing emissions. And so at the same time, how does that balance itself? Well, we all work together to, of course, put everybody on the bus. Yes. If that's not an option, then we want to make sure that there's alternative options available for people as well. And there's an organization in the state that has a website called Keep New Hampshire Moving. It is a state-funded program that assists a person to go to one website to see all transportation services available within a community. The way that Nashua Transit is going to celebrate is Driver Appreciation Day. Throughout the month, we will have an opportunity for the passengers and people within the community to write notes to the driver. Last year, we posted it on a board for the drivers to see the results of people praising them and thanking them for their service. Rider Appreciation Day, and of course, every day is a Rider Appreciation Day, but we'll make sure we have one specifically denoted for a rider. City Hall travel training, and also a challenge for the Board of Aldermen to take at least one bus trip. You can join us on the City Hall travel training day, or you can take a bus trip on your own, or you could give us a call and let Matt know, and Matt will ride with you. Matt rides all the time.
Happy to ride.
Yep.
Happy to ride.
And Bike and Pedestrian Spotlight, because the bike's on board, and also that last mile or first mile to be able to get to where you need to go. And some people will ride to the transit center and put their bike at the transit center and then ride the bus to work, come back to the transit center, and then ride their bus home. Some people use electric scooters, as we've all seen as well. So there's a lot of opportunities for people to move, and we try to work together with all the different ways to do that so that we can move people efficiently and also reliably. We do also have an ISI coming up for community engagement, which Matt is going to touch on.
So we've done some, and by we I mean Camille and her team, of course, have done some great work with the Public Health Group and Bobby Bagley and others over at Public Health. having community conversations about the importance of public transportation and reaching out to several of the stakeholder groups that public health works closely with to have direct conversations about how we can improve our system or how changes that we're thinking about might impact riders that they interact with. And so on Wednesday, October 22nd from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., they'll have this ISI event. Please don't ask me what ISI stands for. I actually was thinking about this. Please don't, because I can't answer that question. But what is important is that it'll be here in the third floor auditorium, and that actually coincides with our free ride day. And it'll essentially be a conversation around public transportation and how it can be improved and what the needs are in the community. So we invite everyone to participate in that, and we'll share some information relative to it after this meeting this evening with all of the members of the board. But really, again, highlighting the partnership between NTS, the City of Nashua, and public health, and the ability to have great conversations that may not otherwise be possible without the level of collaboration and coordination that happens. All right, now the negative stuff. Not really, but I wanted to quickly talk before we get to 2 times our 31 minutes. We're about an hour right now, but I wanted to quickly touch on a few things as we look forward that are uncertain, some of our vulnerabilities, our threats, if you will. No question, operational costs are increasing. They have increased substantially over recent years. That comes in a variety of different forms beyond just the regular contractual increases that you see with our collective bargaining agreements. There's contracted services, obviously, as part of NTS. We use a private company to provide our services. And again, you've seen what's happened in the school district and some of the impacts there. We have increased costs of taking care of vehicles and purchasing vehicles. It's very expensive these days, but we need to provide new vehicles that are reliable for our riders. And so those costs will increase. And our vehicles, like everything else that it's used in the city, are in the SURF. There was a discussion about the underfunded SURF last night, I know, as part of the tax rate buy-down. The SURF has challenges, and so the ability to fund or not fund the SURF fully will directly impact whether NTS is able to purchase vehicles moving forward. The federal funding landscape is uncertain. I'll say very much, knocking on wood while I do this, that generally we are in a good place when it comes to our FTA allocation, our federal transit allocation. That could change at any time. The annual apportionment could change in any given year, leaving us with a gap potentially, or the formula for that apportionment could be modified in some way, shape, or form. We also have a pending government shutdown before us. I think folks are aware of that it's possible the federal government shuts down over the coming weeks. Unclear how that will impact us, but always a challenge. More directly in recent years, the state budget has been a concern. Public transportation funding does come in through the state budget. Last night you approved acceptance of funds to the state of New Hampshire, access to those monies moving forward. All of the pieces sort of fit together to form the budget that is NTS. And without any one piece, that substantially burdens the general fund ask that we make of you on an annual basis. And so anything goes away, we're going to be back looking for that additional money. Bureau of Elderly and Adult Services, BEAS, that Camille talked about earlier, this is our senior citizen funding. At any time, this could potentially be modified, and so we would lose the ability to provide services for our senior population. So I wanted to very quickly talk about 3 things that we'll be back to talk to you about over the coming months. And these are potential solutions or contributory things that we could do to fill that gap. One such thing is actually built into state statute already under RC 261-153-4. That is something that can be added to vehicle registrations, a local transportation option fee. That local transportation option fee can be up to $5 per vehicle. You can actually take that money and put aside and use it to directly fund public transportation, in addition to some other things as well. But that's one option we would have that wouldn't be a direct tax rate impact, but would be an impact to those registering vehicles. That's one option that we have in front of us. Another significant option, or another option that would have some level of impact, is a modification of fares. Our current fares are $1.25, and while the idea of a fare increase may seem or could be a last resort, we haven't made fare changes since 2012, and cost of services have gone up substantially since that point of time. So we've been in the preliminary stages, and Camille and her team have been in the preliminary stages of surveying riders right now to understand how modifications of going up to $2 or $2.50 or $3 might impact service. I'll just mention quickly that Manchester currently is, if I'm not mistaken, $2 per single ride. We very much need to sort of get back to market rate in order to make our service whole, I would say. And so, well, again, fare increases are a last resort action for us. It's all about making all of the pieces of the puzzle fit together, and that may be something that we need to do. To that end, we fully anticipate that between November and December that we'll be doing a full-fledged fare survey with our riders and potentially coming forward to you based on what the survey returns to explore a fare modification and likely an increase in fares. But again, more data are needed, but this is something that we're very much looking at. And then the last resort, truly, and Camille knows this well, we have hard conversations every year, is coming back to you to an increase in the local allocation. We're going to explore those first two options much more before we do that. You know, we generally go up by the budget guideline on an annual year, so if we receive a 3% guideline, we propose a 3% increase when it comes to the general fund contribution. But we definitely think we need to do some harder thinking about other funding sources that may need to come into the system to ensure that we don't have to cut routes and modify service. Because back up to sort of the beginning, one thing I didn't mention, we are constantly hearing asks for more service, whether that's longer hours during the day, bringing our service to other areas of the region, providing more frequent service. We actually, some of Camille's team has had a meeting at 6 p.m. tonight that it's a group that's meeting to ask for more service across the region. We're being pulled in that direction when the reality is that our funding is sort of pulling us in the other direction, and that is to reduce service. So we'll be back to talk to you more about our funding, certainly as part of the budget process, but likely before that. But some combination of these things need to happen, and that's sort of what's talked about in that comprehensive plan that we'll be back to talk to you about over the coming months. One last thing I wanted to touch on, and you may have heard me talk about this. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Alderman Clee has a question.
thank you. Can we go back to that
Sure.
previous screen? I'm sorry to do this to you, but I just have a quick question. Well, two quick questions. One is, if you did have to go up to $2 when you're doing your survey and so on, if they're obviously people are going to be in shock because your ridership and so on, would you consider going up over 2 years or something like that, or would you want to do an immediate, like $1.25 to $2? I mean,
I think that's you know, it sounds like a non-answer. I say that often, I feel like, in front of the board, but truly, I mean, I think anything is on the table.
Okay.
You know, we certainly don't want to abruptly impact ridership for the most transportation vulnerable individuals in the community. So, I mean, everything is on the table. What I think we recognize is that we do need to increase. How that increase is done, I think we're open to having a conversation around that. I think the only thing that I would say is if we do propose an incremental increase like that, it's possible that one of these other things has to give in the interim, right? It's installing a transportation option fee or increasing the local allocation. It's going to be some combination of these three, and so I hope that answers your question, Alderman Clay.
Follow-up.
Yeah, just one other quick one. You talked about how you had a meeting today and other regions are looking for more services and so on. We do charge to these other regions, or so is there like a fee to go out to Milford or something of that nature?
So currently the system has 2 revenue contracts with the town of Hudson and Merrimack for service. It's really a demand response service. What we're hearing for demand, I get really excited about, Camille does too, until we start talking about how to pay for it. Going to the Lowell Transportation Center, going to Tuscan Village in Salem, going to the Merrimack outlets. These are all things that I think make sense to us. They're all very far away and very difficult to provide service to. So we haven't had any direct conversations with any of the communities on the other ends of some of this expansion that's being talked about. The group that we're meeting with is really a transportation equity group that's identified a set of destinations within the Nashua region or beyond where they think service should go. We're sort of focusing with them first on within the Nashua region, are there specific bus stop locations or other changes that could be made to improve service? And then beyond that, if there are other locations or routes that you'd be looking to see, what's your first priority? What's your second priority? What's your third priority? We can't do it all, and so what are the critical things that you'd like to see? one of the, and I was going to close with this, but one of the incredible things about NTS, and I knew nothing about transit before getting the chance to work with Camille, is both her, Lori Lorman, the 41-year employee that's over at NTS, we will literally modify service for one person if it makes sense to us. It really is, well, we have hundreds of thousands of rides. We are an incredibly accessible and nimble service within reason. If the situation is right, we do everything we can to provide a ride to somebody. And so the same goes for all of these stakeholder groups that we meet with, all the folks we talk to at our different transit engagement meetings. We are really, truly willing to make changes if they can be accommodated, and you just don't get that when you go to the MBTA. Like, good luck getting that kind of change there. They're just a bigger system. We're very lucky to have dedicated and committed staff to making things work here in the city of Nashua.
Alderman Dow.
Yeah, just real quickly, Tuscan and the Merrimack Premium Outlets are both retail, and if we're going to extend to them, they should be picking up some kind of fee to us because they're getting more business out of the people we're busing up there.
With due respect for both of those retail establishments, they to date, I'll speak only for one of them, they've seen it sort of the opposite way. But I think they might be open for future conversations. But we've had challenges getting access to the Merrimack outlets. It's I think we've stated it publicly before. There's apprehension about having our buses serve that retail outlet mall. And that's really disappointing. So it's a conversation that we think could be started again. I think there's always new management in place, but to date, that's actually not been our experience, Alderman Dowd. It's disappointing. Alderman O'Brien, I think Alderman Tibbetts.
Yes, I didn't see, excuse me.
That's all right.
Alderman Tebow.
For Derek's gonna be mad.
Thibodeau.
There's pushback from the Merrimack Premium Outlets for just us bringing a bus to their facility?
There's been hesitance for, I don't want to single them out because this is not a unique issue. In some cases, there's been apprehension from private property owners about NTS services being provided to the site. There are a variety of things involved, from liability to concerns about whether or not the buses would actually fit within their business model, I guess is a way I'd say it. I think the concerns come from a variety of different places. But, we've had long conversations about going to the outlets, both from a shopping experience, but from a workforce perspective as well, right? I mean, that could seriously be an option for someone. Camille knows I often would take the bus from Manchester down to Nashua during bad weather days in the winter. And I would often see a core group of people commuting from Manchester to the Coles in Nashua that were working there. Like, that's a real thing that happens. And I would tend to think that locations like the Merrimack outlets or other retail destinations in other communities would benefit from such a service. But we need to re-engage and have those conversations, I would say.
Thank you.
Alderman Clay.
Thank you. Going back to the comment you made about making accommodations for individuals and so on, I know in Ward 3 we do have an issue with, like, and I don't want to go too specific, but like Chandler Street, when the people get dropped off in front of the church. Right now, my mind is gone. The Coptic Church there to the house. That trying for those people to have to cross Chandler Street, it's very dangerous and so on. Would there ever be like an accommodation so that the bus could almost turn around and come the other direction for those particular people? Do you know what I'm saying? So when the bus goes up the hill, they get off, and then they have to cross Chandler, and it's just at the crest where people can't be seen well.
I remember this conversation, I think it was a few months ago,
Yeah.
and then we haven't heard back from the people. Yeah. So what we could do is engage with the people and yourself as well, and we can talk about it together as to what the options are, because quite possibly the fixed route service might not be the best option.
Right.
It may be to get to where they need to go. However, it may be that there could be a reasonable accommodation depending, but being across the street, then would mean the bus would probably turn left on Whitney, right on Cross, right on Locke.
It'd be
Yeah,
very difficult, I understand, and
Right on
I've even
Chandler.
tried to work with Public Works to try to get a crosswalk there, but because of the arch and so on
Yeah.
of the hill, it would be too dangerous and too difficult for them.
Mm-hmm.
So my safety concern is, and I think the problem that we have in something like this, it's not one individuals, but multiple individuals, but
Mm-hmm.
they're more transient, they don't always, it's not always the same people. It's
Right.
just people in general, and I think that's why the conversations get started and stopped and started and
Mm-hmm.
stopped. But
And
just as thinking forward, I'm not asking you to solve it now, but
and you may be the link to making sure that anyone who has that question,
Yeah.
who reaches out to you, you would have an answer. So quite possibly, we could start the conversation and see what the options are.
okay, thank you so much. I appreciate
you.
this. Thank
Absolutely.
you, Mr. Chairman.
Alderman Dow?
No, I'm just saying, we got a lot of other things on the agenda.
Oh, I know.
Right.
I know.
I can be very brief, Alderman O'Brien.
Oh, you better.
Last thing, I promise. And I've already done this spiel at Finance Committee. I think it was Finance. I can't remember. Was it Finance? I think it was Finance. In all seriousness, though, the City of Nashua's transportation projects are all included in the state 10-year plan. There is a massive funding shortfall within the 10-year plan. I believe it's in the order of $400 million. And there are proposed cuts that are substantial in nature. And we don't know what the cuts will be, but what we're hearing is that if we don't participate in this Governor's Advisory Committee on Intermodal Transportation, the GASSET hearings, over the coming months that are taking place, that projects for Nashua could be cut from the 10-year plan. And so certainly City of Nashua staff, Dan Hudson, Camille, myself, possibly Director Photo as well, we will be attending the GASSET hearing on October 7th in Hudson. I am going to try to get at least 1 to 2 aldermen there to speak because truly these projects may be eliminated. And it's not a small amount of projects. It's all of the NTS funding that's in there. It's capital project for NTS. It's the Lock and Whitney Street project. It's all of these things that I have listed here. These are all in the 10-year plan, and it is literally as simple as them cutting a project if it doesn't seem like it's an important one. And so I'm going to, Camille might kick me for this. I'm going to go there and say that every one of these is important. Certainly with NTS being at the top of my list. But we're definitely going to make an ask, or I'm going to make an ask of the board to maybe get a few folks that are willing to speak and just say all of Nashua's projects are important because we're hearing that that's going to go a very long way in this process, despite the fact that it may seem very simple in nature. And with that, just thank you again to everyone this evening. We are 3 times the time that we had originally said, but we appreciate your patience. Sorry, Alderman Dow, we went on so long, but truly, this was a great conversation. I hope we answered some questions that you had. We don't get a chance to talk to about NTS too much, and that's on us. But Camille and I are very interested in coming back to give future updates as things happen, and not just in moments of crisis, as has been the way over the last 5 years, but to celebrate some of the great work that Camille and her team are doing over at NTS. So thank you for having us this evening, and we're happy to answer any other questions you have or get the heck out so that you all can finish the rest of your meeting.
Any additional questions? Seeing none. I do, to keep with the order, the spirit, when is the appropriate time for those timely, because I didn't see a specific timeline. What do you think that when's the next time you can come up and spend 31 minutes with us?
Alderman O'Brien, I think in light of the fact that we're going to be bringing a piece of legislation relative to the comprehensive plan and possibly some fair stuff over the next 6 months, I think you're going to be hearing from us quite a bit. So I would say we don't need to do this maybe until this time next year.
Okay.
That time will move quickly, but there's a lot going on over those next 6 months, but perhaps past that will come on an as-needed basis, but at a minimum annually to talk to this committee. I think that's important to us.
Yeah, in reading it, we have leeway with
Yep.
that. Yeah.
And one other thing I didn't mention, I can't believe I didn't do this, is there are some things in our process that require public hearings. We believe this body is actually the body that should be conducting those public hearings. So when it comes to fare increases, we are required to have a public hearing. Alderman O'Brien, we're going to be asking your committee to hold that public hearing at such time that we're prepared to bring forward a fare increase.
I'd be willing to, except I don't know if that might fit within a parameter.
Well, we believe that this committee is the appropriate
Is the
committee.
one?
We do.
Okay.
Based on your remit, we believe that this is the committee where that public hearing would take place, yes.
Oh.
Perfect.
Just put it on our plate, we'll chew it all, basically.
Sounds good. Thank you very, very much. We appreciate your time this evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thank you. I think this has been very informative to the public and everything, so thank you so much in coming.
Thank you.
Yes. Great, thank you.
All right,
He saved the presentation on the desktop, so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way we can have it. All right, back to the regular committee business. We're going to get into communications.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. From Wayne Husband, P.
No.
I'm sorry.
Up above.
Oh, above, sorry. From Sam Durfee, AICP Planning Manager, in regards to referral from the Board of Aldermen on the petitions for street discontinuance regarding Major Drive and Spalding Street.
Okay, there being no objection, I will accept the communication and place it on file. Any further communications?
Yes, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
well, I first should say, I'm going to ask to suspend the rules to allow 4 communications that were received, excuse me, after the agenda was prepared.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. From Wayne Husband, PE, Senior Traffic Engineer, in regards to O25-065, no parking on a section of the west side of Marshall Street. From Wayne Husband, PE, Senior Traffic Engineer, in regards to O25-66, authorizing stop signs on Harbor Ave at its intersection with Bauer Street. From Wayne Husband, PE, Senior Traffic Engineer, O25-067, replacing a yield sign with a stop sign on Crown Street at its northeast corner with Arlington Street. From Wayne Husband, PE, Senior Traffic Engineer, in regards to O25-068, authorizing stop signs on Underhill Street at its intersection with Newbury Street.
Okay, these are the additions that you all got with your packet, and as you're done your reading, everything seems to have our engineer's approval. So therefore, being no objection, I'll accept the communications and place them on file. Unfinished business,
None?
new business resolutions.
Yes. R25-203, authorizing the sale of tax deeded property located at 227 Pine Street to former owner. At this time, I motion to recommend final passage.
Any discussion on this? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, because no nays. New business ordinances.
Yes. O-25-065, no parking on a section of the west side of Marshall Street. At this time, I would motion to recommend final passage.
Hopefully still with us. Alderman Senate.
They can't kill me that easily.
How you feeling? I hope you're well.
I've been better, but I'm here with you guys discussing Crown Hill tonight, so I'm happy to be here. This first one, O25-065, this came about as a citizen request regarding a particular section of Marshall Street. You may see this most frequently if you're coming from the East Hollis side or the McDonald's over there. As you approach Bauer Street and Sullivan Park, there's a vehicle yard right there to your right-hand side that will typically have a couple more cars parked along the frontage between them and their nearest residential neighbor. This creates quite a pinch point that can be dangerous to traverse. This section of Marshall Street is a two-way street. And so in the interest of providing the residents there a little bit more visibility in terms of getting out of their driveway and to alleviate that pinch point before you get into the residential zone there, we're asking to designate no parking along this frontage just past the vehicle yard there to right before the first gentleman's property there on Marshall Street. And if anybody, I'm happy to share my screen. I have a couple of visuals if need be.
We may be all set, Alderman Senate, but thank you for your preparation. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next ordinance?
Yes, O-25-066, authorizing stop signs on Harbor Avenue at its intersection with Bowers Street. At this time, I'd make a motion to recommend final passage.
Very good. Alderman Senate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this one is probably in the bulk of my Crown Hill ordinances here tonight, the biggest change that we'll see in the neighborhood. As many people probably know, Harbor Ave is an open throughway that connects East Hollis Street to Ald Street and its intersection with Burke Street. And it's become, I wouldn't even say become, for many, many years, it has been a very dangerous roadway. It's easy to really pick up speed on, and it's often the site of many, many collisions. Almost to illustrate the point of why I'm here tonight, I just before the meeting went out to get myself a refill of some cough medicine I've been on, and I saw emergency personnel arriving to this very intersection to address a accident, and on the way back I had to take a detour because it was blocked off in both directions. This is probably the most consistent T-shaped four-way intersection on Harbor Ave. This legislation came about as a discussion that I had with the greater DPW crew back at the beginning of August with Director Photo, Mr. Hudson, Mr. Patrician, and Mr. LeBlanc. And, it was posited out there as an idea that they would look into, and before long they had come back with their recommendation for it. In addition to that, and independent of it, without my involvement, there was a pair of residents who live right on the corner at Bowers Street who contacted me shortly after I met with DPW, and they had actually gathered a number of signatures. I'm looking at 25 in front of me, asking for improvements to Harbor Ave for pedestrian safety, including repainted crosswalks, which has been done recently, and improvements to this intersection, making it a four-way stop. With that, I'll cease for the moment and ask for your favorable recommendation for this one.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next ordinance.
O-25-067, replacing a yield sign with a stop sign on Crown Street at its northeast corner with Arlington Street. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to recommend final passage.
Alderman Senate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a former emergency personnel, I have no doubt that you're familiar with this intersection. This is another one in Crown Hill that's very problematic and is the site of many accidents. At the bottom of Arlington Street, as it approaches East Hollis Street, there's an intersection with Crown Street, I'm sorry. Once Crown Street does have a stop as it approaches Arlington Street. But the other side is it's an uphill approach coming from the river with a very wide open, not even a corner, more of a curve onto Arlington Street as you head towards East Hollis. And it's long been designated a yield, which for the volume that Arlington Street does with Dr. Crisp and the alternative school just a ways up the road, and now the community center, it's not practical. Now, further down Crown Street by the river, technically on East Hollis Street, but connecting the two, as you approach the bridge, many people are probably familiar that there's a new development going in there of, I believe, approximately 45 to 50 housing units. And they were asked to, as many plans are up at the planning board, to make a contribution towards the improvement of this intersection. This will really be the first step in that. They have submitted a design that, if I understand correctly, will kick out that curved intersection and bringing it a little closer to 90 degrees and more of a traditional corner, just the curve that it now is. But to get there, we want to facilitate that work by having this be pre-designated as a stop now, rather than having a corner built and then having a yield in place.
Okay, very good. Any further questions by the committee? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next ordinance, please.
Yes, O25-068, authorizing stop signs on Underhill Street at its intersection with Newberry Street. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to recommend final passage.
Alderman Senate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the one I'm almost hesitant to bring up because, as many my colleagues know, I actually reside on Underhill Street. But we do have through that street grid, Newberry Street running, and Underhill is unique in that we're the only cross street with Newberry that is not a four-way stop. If you go to any of our neighbors on King Street, Haynes Street, McKeon Street, Williams Street, those are all four-way stops as you travel Newberry Street. Doesn't make traveling Newberry Street very fun, but it does make traveling Newberry Street relatively safe. I had actually originally asked DPW just for some signage on the stop signs on Newberry Street at Underhill, indicating that the crossing traffic on Underhill Street doesn't stop. That was our original plan coming out of the meeting with DPW in August. As we moved further, and I had asked for an update on that, it turned out that there was a preference looking at this intersection to just make it consistent with the rest in the neighborhood and make it a four-way stop. So with that, I would ask for your favorable recommendation for this one.
Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you all for your time tonight.
Yes, and I thank you and wish you well, and hopefully you're feeling better soon.
Much appreciated. Thanks for facilitating this for me tonight.
Okay, moving on, we took care of our petitions of Major Drive and Spalding Street, and we dealt with that with the motion. We have one item, Deerwood Drive, that has been tabled. There's no mention to take it off the table, so we'll leave it there. I'll combine public comment first. We have a vacant audience, unfortunately. I thought we were a lot of fun tonight, but so I'll open it up next to general discussion or remarks from the alderman. Seeing none, everybody seems to have the 31 minutes were too long. So, okay. With that being said, Alderman Dow, do you have the most famous motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned at 8:48 p.m. Thank you all.